are not willing to strike. You're okay with the fact that a mother was shot in the back of the head.
I have a huge problem with this. While I also have a problem with the fact that a mother was shot in the back of the head and she also had 4 children, I also have a problem with the delivery of this message by the Rideshare Professor. You don't get to decide how people should feel just because they don't do what you think they should do. If you're watching this, please know that I respect your passion for the rideshare and gig economy community. I truly believe that you care about the people within that community, but only if those people do what you say. For those of you who are unfamiliar with the matter, the Rideshare Professor is a gig economy advocate and YouTuber with over 50,000 subscribers and over 10 million views. He's got a pretty big following. He's rightfully called upon the rideshare community to go on a strike for St. Patrick's Day that I won't be following, but it's okay if you want to go on a strike too. That's not because I don't support the movement, because I definitely think that sending a loud message on St. Patrick's Day is a great idea, but even great ideas have flaws, and sometimes the people who perpetuate those ideas have flaws too, and that's the case in this scenario. But here's an explanation of how we got here. So the straw that broke the backs of rideshare drivers comes down to an incident involving an Uber driver by the name of Christy. Christy was killed by a passenger with a single gunshot wound to the back of her head on February 10th. Calvin, the passenger and murderer, used his girlfriend's phone to order a ride, which in itself is a security risk that Uber and Lyft need to address, but we'll talk more about that later. About 10 minutes into the ride, Calvin pulls out his firearm and points it at the back of Christy's head in an attempt to rob her. Yo, the incident was even recorded on her dash cam, and when she reached back to feel the gun on the back of her head, the only thing she could say was, "You got to be kidding me." Like, that's pulled from the dash cam. Calvin told her to keep driving as Christy was pleading for her life. The recording would end as Calvin reached forward to turn off her dash cam. The cops later found Christy's body, the dash cam, and they have Calvin in custody. So, I get it. This is a very terrible thing, but despite how terrible it is and despite how shaken up the community is over it, it is not okay to vilify people just because they don't do what you want them to do. And it's important for me to stand up for all the drivers out there who don't feel secure, the drivers who are disheartened by what happened to Christy, and even the drivers concerned about pay in the face of rising gas prices, uncertainty due to war, and uncertainty due to the pandemic that's still going on, even if they decide that they want to drive on St. Patrick's Day. I want to break down the Rideshare Professor's use of false dichotomy, also known as a black and white fallacy, also known as an either or fallacy. I pride myself on being logical, so that's how we're going to approach this. Stating that you should either go on strike for St. Patrick's Day in order to show that you care about rider safety and rider pay, or that if you don't strike on St. Patrick's Day, you are spineless and that you don't care about rider safety or rider pay is rooted in black and white thinking. That's not okay. More than 1/3 of US workers participate in the gig economy in various degrees and for various reasons. We're talking about 60 million Americans that do DoorDash, Uber, Lyft, Instacart, and many other jobs that are also expected to boycott for St. Patrick's Day. That's a lot of people, and when you have a lot of people, you also have a lot of different perspectives that should be considered. That's why giving an either you're this or you're that premise becomes a really bad way to convey a message, because it excludes and eliminates people that fit into the middle ground that would also be supportive of your message for change, but just not in the ways that you expected. I'm the biggest example of this. I care about driver pay, I care about the safety of others, and it's not just limited to those that behave how I want them to behave. That's ridiculous. I care about all of them whether or not they commit to this particular strike or any strike at all. At the same time, I also plan on driving for St. Patrick's Day. I even got my hat. If you think the Rideshare Professor's stance is too black and white and deserves some middle ground, drop a thumbs up on this video. If you agree with him, drop a comment below so I can have more viewpoints to consider, because, that's what people should do. I personally don't believe that rideshare should be a long-term source of income. Rideshare should be used to hit your financial goals in an explosive way to help you eliminate the financial constraints that hold you back from going out and chasing the things you actually want to do and love. It helps to take away the burden of worrying about money so that you can focus on all your other burdens. That's what my channel is about, and I hope that my subscribers share the same idealism, because my ultimate goal is to teach you guys how to make more money, how to make your money work for you rather than making you work for the money. I know that money can't solve all our problems, but I believe that if we are able to erase all of our money-related problems, it'll give us a better shot at dealing with all the other problems life likes to throw at us. That's why I cannot and will not judge people for wanting to go on strike for St. Patrick's Day, even though it doesn't align with what I believe. Working on St. Patrick's Day is not a reflection of how much you care about driver safety or driver pay. What the Rideshare Professor needs to understand is 1, there's more than one way to support a cause, and 2, sometimes help comes in unexpected forms. I'm trying to pay off debt. I'm trying to grow several businesses that don't make any money that's being funded by my rideshare business. I'm trying to move this year from South Carolina to Texas. I'm trying to get married, and at some point I would love to start a family. Every dollar matters to me, but that in no way, shape, or form means that driver pay and driver safety don't matter to me either. Humans are capable of caring about more than one thing. Guess what? Life is not black and white. When you consider all aspects of life, you realize that people have the ability to care about many different things at once. Prioritizing one over the other at a specific time doesn't mean that it's overall more important than something else. For example, let's spin this around. To those of you who think striking on St. Patrick's Day, I am not going to assume that it's because you think striking is more important than making money overall, because if that were true, you would do it every day. There's just too much going on in the world to promote this strike on such a black and white concept. There's a whole war, there's a whole pandemic, people need money, people are losing their jobs. There's just way too much for you to sit there and say people are spineless and you're not gonna cry for them if they receive a knife to the stomach. What the hell is that? That's crazy, dude. Another angle that should be considered is that rideshare work is a form of hospitality. It's a customer service-based job where you are servicing your customers. I'll be honest with you, I personally don't care about this aspect of not wanting to strike for St. Patrick's Day, but if I haven't made it clear yet, just because it doesn't fit into my motivation doesn't mean that others aren't motivated by it, and this particular reason is a super valid reason not to strike. People could have family members who have been affected by drunk driving and feel super motivated to help passengers make it home on the day of St. Patrick's Day. Is it their responsibility? No, it's not, but that doesn't make their reasoning any more or less important than deciding to go on strike for driver pay and driver safety. I don't consider them to be spineless either. So, Mr. Rideshare Professor, know that I will be driving on St. Patrick's Day, know that I am not okay with how these companies handle driver safety, and know that I will support your cause, just not in the way that you expect to see it coming. With that out of the way, I want to talk about the most important thing Uber and Lyft can do to protect rideshare drivers. The most important thing they can do is to commit to identification confirmation. Currently, riders don't need to confirm their identity to ride on Lyft or Uber. They can use any fake picture they want, they can use any name that they want, and they can even use a prepaid debit card if they want. That means if a rider was kicked off the platform for whatever reason, including but not limited to physical abuse, and it can get much worse than physical abuse, they can spin up a new email for a new account pretty easily. And that needs to change. I'm not asking for a full background check, but I believe that if the rideshare companies verify that riders' ID cards match who they say they are, people will feel less compelled to commit criminal acts towards the drivers, since it will be harder for them to escape the justice system. If you agree with what I just said, hit that like button. If you don't, let me know why in the comments. I want to hear from you guys. I plan to work 18 hours on St. Patrick's Day, and I'm going to put a video out breaking down my income and expenses for that day, so make sure you subscribe if you don't want to miss that. I don't care if you're boycotting or if you are. And just remember, either way, I respect you if you strike, and I still respect you if you don't. There are too many different viewpoints out there for me to be so black and white about things. With that said, until next time, keep earning.
Rideshare drivers are on strike.